Okay, so my name is Madeline Luke, and I'm a member of the Glenwood 4-H Club. And today I'll be showing you how to decorate with royal icing. As you can see, I've done some different things in the past, lots of different flowers, the turkeys that I did for Thanksgiving this past year. And today I have some clover cookies with me, and I will be showing you the different steps and processes.
Perfect.
So the first step is you need to make your royal icing. You can use any kind of recipe that you would like. I just found this one online a couple years ago that I really like, so I continue to use it. When it comes to royal icing, you have two different types. You have your liner, which is a very thick. It's not going to go very far. It's just like it could hang there, and it's pretty stiff. It's not going to move a ton. And you also have what I like to call your flood. So your flood is a lot more of a liquidy one that when you squeeze it, it's just gonna fall right off. And so it is a spreadable one, which comes in handy later. And so your first step is you're gonna want to line your cookie. So you're gonna take your lining icing, which with this icing, I like to keep a tip on my point, just so it's a little easier to keep the edges straighter, especially on certain cookies. But all you really have to do is you just start wherever you'd like, and then you just follow the outline of the cookie. On this part, it does get a little tricky sometimes because I haven't done these clover cookies a ton. These were left over from some other cookies I decorated a couple weeks ago. We just stored them in our freezer, and they store very well. When you store sugar cookies in your freezer, you're good.
And perfect for 4-H, the clover.
Yes, absolutely, they're perfect. But you just want to make sure you're sticking with the outline, and if it separates a little bit, it's all okay, because you can just go back through and fill it in, because you really just need this to catch the liquidy one. So I have a couple gaps, but I can easily go back in with this and just fill it in, not have to sweat and worry about it. And once you have that, the hard part about royal icing is you have to wait.
Oh no. Nobody wants to do.
No, it is not fun, but once you have it in, you want it to look like this, so it's hardened. You have to wait and let everything dry with royal icing. But once it's dried, then you can move on to your second step, which is your flood. So for this one, you want to, you'll just kind of do it however, this can be very messy at first, so just kind of getting it in all the little clover corners, and then making sure you have plenty that'll stay in the middle and down the stem. And then once you have this, you'll take, I like to use fondant tools. You can really use whatever little kitchen tool you have that has like a little, either a flatter or a little point on it, and then you're just gonna take your icing and just kind of dab it and touch it up to the dried edge, and it'll stick to it very nicely. If you can't, I don't know if you can see it greatly, but, and then once you're doing that, you just keep going around the entire cookie. And sure enough, you do have to wait. So whenever I'm making cookies with larger batches, I like to call it my assembly line. So I start with one color and do all of the outlining on one color. And then I have to wait and let it dry. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I might start outlining another color. And by the time I've done outlining that, the first color is most likely dried, so then I can go back in and fill the second color.
Very efficient.
Yes, you have to, it definitely takes quite some time when you're decorating with royal icing. But once you have that all decorated and filled in, still got some corners to get there. Sometimes the hard part is how much you put on your cookie and how runny your flood is. I have had plenty of batches where I make my flood too runny, and then it floods over the side. Like this one was a pretty good one that I made last night, where even it's still spread nicely for me, but it's not gonna fall off my cookie if I tilt it. Last night when I was practicing, I accidentally flipped a cookie. But and if you have any problems, like there's little points that stick up off the cookie, you can just lightly tap your cookie on your surface that you're working on, and the icing should just kind of flatten down in. Or if you needed, you can take your super pointy, just kind of tap it in, and it'll just flatten it. But once that has dried, then you have it like this, and it's all dry to where you can start decorating it with your other colors. Yes. Yes, it's very fun. So when you're decorating, like I said, there was the two different icings. This still goes for the decorating. You'll just, instead of following the very outside, you'll just kind of stick and follow just a little bit in more, for the clovers at least. Like on some of the other cookies I've done, you don't need to do this for the small little details. Like the turkey cookies, they do just one color and it's good, but the flower cookies that are on there, I took to the fair last year. And those took some time,
Those are amazing.
but
Wow.
those the cookies that I had, the green flower ones, I don't know, those are just free-handed. You just kind of, you figure out what cookie cutter is gonna do what you want. Like some of those cookie cutters, I think was actually a paw print, that I was able to just ice on top of it and make it look like I wanted it to.
Very creative.
But once you have that was not very good, but once you have it done, then you'll have your cookie, and once again, you let it dry. But afterwards, they're very nice and hardened. You don't have to worry about them like getting smashed or spilled or anything like that at all. And it's a fun little trick that once you figure it out, it's pretty easy and looks pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
Do you have any questions for me?
So do you plan on doing anything with baking, or is this a hobby for you?
It's more of a hobby and just a fun project to bring to the fair.
Right. Have you been doing it long?
I've
know what
been
you're doing.
doing it. I've been decorating at the fair for a couple years, but last year is my first year bringing cookies that were decorated to the fair. So I hope I'm bringing either more cookies this year.
Right,
so.
okay, very good. What is the main difference, I'm sorry if I missed this, but
Okay.
between royal icing and regular, is just the stiffness?
It's the way it dries
Okay.
and hardens, because it'll harden to where you can still bite into it,
Mhm.
but like a regular icing, it stays soft the entire
Okay.
time. And so if something were to be set on top of it, like your
Gotcha.
icing bag, if it sets on top, it's not gonna get affected
And I
when
believe you
it's
said that, I
dry.
apologize.
No, you're good.
How much time or how long does it usually take for the royal icing to dry?
It takes maybe 20 to 30
Okay.
minutes. It's not too bad, but you definitely wanna make sure you're fully dried, otherwise if you poke your finger into it on accident, then you're gonna have a little fingerprint in it.
Okay. That's amazing, Madeline. I
Yeah.
don't have any more questions. I mean, unless, this is the first time I've done this, honestly. I teach and,
Yeah.
no, you did a great job.
Alrighty.
Great job, so, keep up with it. I'd be anxious to see what you do at the, fair, taking things.
Yes, thank you so much.
Do you have any idea what you'll take next year?